We are living in a moment that may be the breaking point for culture. A crisis of masculinity like the world has never seen on this scale. We have all heard plenty of stories of seemingly good men doing harm. What we need are stories of broken men becoming really good men. And that is why we made Wild at Heart the series. It's 1995. I am fresh out of grad school, working as a therapist. When I was doing the research and the work for Wild at Heart, I was pulling together just a whole breadth of data on the essence of masculinity, the masculine soul, and the formation of good men. And these three rivers start converging in my life. I am working with mostly men, male clients who have blown their lives up, they're in trauma, they're in crisis for some reason. And I am raising 3 sons and trying to figure out how, because my own stuff is showing up. Unresolved trauma from my story. It's all coming together in the same moment. It was orchestrated to get me to go into the heart of men, the heart of boys, my own soul. You just cannot escape the imprint of a father, good and bad. I knew that I had to go back and face the things that I just ran from. I've been fishing this canyon for almost 30 years. A lot of history in here, a lot of stories. This is my dad. This is probably 1965. This is actually from that same day. So this is little me. As a little guy, I had my dad. And we would camp and fish, and it was just the golden years that every boy longs for. He was World War II generation. They didn't talk a lot. And like so many guys, he found some relief in the bottle. Everything falls apart. The fishing ends. And I grew up in an alcoholic home, and that is a pretty scary environment for a little guy. I should be an alcoholic. I should have blown my own marriage up. But the choice to face the pain and come out from hiding, it changed everything. A wound that is unacknowledged is a wound that cannot be healed.
By the time I was 18, 19 at art school, things started to take a really dark turn because I had no ability to kind of keep the things that I'd swept under the carpet, the rage, the agony, the anger. I just didn't know how. It started to tear up the carpet by that point.
Here's the wild stat. The #1 predictor of early mortality for centuries was poverty. Now it's being male. Suicide, is the second leading cause of death for young men in the US. Depression among men is at an all-time high. It's a crisis of identity. It's a crisis of despair.
Found myself in this empty apartment, sleeping on an inflatable mattress, because everything that I had tried with all my strength to get was gone. I hated the man that I had become. And I hated that it had been exposed.
The key thing to understand about men and the crisis is that every man is wounded.
Why did you leave? Did you not care about me? Did you not love me?
And if he cannot name that wound, he cannot heal it.
Can't trust people. Can't trust myself. Can't trust anybody. I was just hurting.
And the thing is, if you ignore that internal chaos, it just creates chaos in their world. It creates chaos in their marriages, in their families.
I was, before my eyes, losing the most important person in my life, and I wasn't doing anything about it.
We've got to get to the healing of the masculine soul, because that is the crisis. All this is coming together into a language, a way of describing the heart of men. And I'm watching it work. It's working. It's healing marriages, families, communities. It's healing the souls of men. I wrote Wild at Heart in 6 months. It was so in me that it just flowed. I thought it might help heal the lives of a few men and their families. And God had other plans. And it became a global phenomenon. And the healing stories just started pouring in.
Stories of families healed over and over again.
Men, women, whole families, marriages, relationships with fathers and sons, fathers and daughters.
Got my dad back, got my husband back, got our family back.
We have a front row seat to the healing stories of men all around the world. Hundreds, thousands of them, really. And we just go, we got to tell these stories. So we have created Wild at Heart, the series.
This is a documentary series on 4 men's stories, 4 men around the world who've been impacted, whose lives have been changed.
They're at different points in their lives: crisis in marriage, crisis in work, crisis with being a dad.
They're kind of everyday people from different walks of life. We wanted every man to be able to relate to the people in these films. I think there's going to be a lot of women who find these really helpful as well.
We are going back into their stories, picking up where the healing did not come, and watching, literally before your eyes, the healing journey and how it restores a man and his kids and his marriage.
Suddenly, everything that was confusing all seemed to make sense. I could look back through the course of my life and see all these moments And I realized, God, you were in all of it. You were always there.
It is going to open up for you a world of hope. As you watch these stories, you're going to understand your own. For years, as a young man, I would go out on the river alone. I came home one day really upset, and Stace asked me, "Hon, what's up?" I said, I don't know. And then this sentence literally came out of my mouth. It said, "I'll never find him out there." I had no idea that all those years I was looking for my father on the river. As I began to heal, as I began to do my own work with my own story, I was able to forgive my dad. When I did, I was able to reach back out to him. He was a pretty old guy. And I started taking him fishing instead. And that was one of our last moments together in this canyon, fishing. You see, these stories don't have to end in disaster. There is a healing path. There is another way.